So as you can see, my topic is the power of two. And what prompted this topic is basically our fellowship. And then when I went to do a little bit of research, just looking at the essence and the power of being many or being more than one, it actually makes a whole lot of sense that we are here this evening. So I will look at when this all started. If we look at creation itself, first, God created Adam. And Adam was alone in the Garden of Eden. And then he decided to give a partner, or to give him a partner, because God saw it fitting that alone Adam will be lonely. And then Eve was created. Then we also see it in the story of Noah. By then, obviously, there was multiplication of people, and but if we look at the people that were saved in the flood, we look at 4 couples. So why I'm mentioning this is it could have been Noah only, one person. How would it have felt? But then the Bible mentions that it was Noah and his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives or partners. And then if we look at the animals that we saved, they were in 2s. For as much as this example gives us, for as much as we know that this example is more about male and female, I think what I want us to get from this is the purpose. Now, the animals wouldn't have multiplied after the flood if there was one female or male. So the power of 2 then comes in the sense that one is better than 2, because then whether it's male or female, they will be able to multiply. So the purpose was for the 2 to come together and then multiply. So this is when this whole point of 2 started. Now, if we come to Mark 11, fast track it into the New Testament. Mark 6, verses 6 and 7, it reads, this is when Jesus was working with the 12 disciples, and when he was assigning them duties. Verse 6 says, he was amazed at their lack of faith. Then Jesus went around teaching from village to village. So on this verse, we can actually see he started by teaching. Then verse 7 goes on, calling the 12 to him, he began to send them out two by two and gave them authority over impure spirits. So, first, it was teaching. Obviously, he was teaching crowds, and the disciples were there. We know that the disciples were of different calibers, different backgrounds, different understanding, and different characteristics. But then, after teaching them, he called them and he paired them. So, what is the purpose? The purpose is obviously, I have taught you, now you go out and teach others. But now the pairing comes in for support. We obviously see it within our environments. If you want information, you go to a certain brother. We are paired as we are now in this fellowship, or we are brought together for this purpose, where we share our strength, similar to how Jesus was pairing the disciples for the purposes of supporting each other. If we go to Mark 3, verses 16 to 19, I will read it for you. It reads, also talking about the 12. Verse 16, these are the 12 he appointed. Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. To them he gave the name Boanerges, which means sons of thunder. Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. Now, if we look at the pairing that was done here, it was perceptible. It was, there was reasoning, there was thinking behind. Simon, whom he called Peter, and his brother Andrew. James and his brother John. Thomas and Philip. Obviously, if you look at just the pairing, we can actually see that the thinking behind would have been, they are new, they know I've taught them. Now, if they go in the pairs with the brothers in Christ, they understand better, they know better, we have got different strengths, they will be able to go and do a formidable job. And as it goes down, you will see that there is random pairing as well at the bottom when it gets to Judas and Simon and them. Why is it necessary to pair? Proverbs shows us the obvious. Two will do more than one. And on that note, we can also mention and visualize a pair of hands or an extra view. So let's just dwell on this a little bit. Two are more than one in the sense that we need each other for support. a pair of hands, you can imagine if we had one hand, how would we use it? If we were created like that, we would probably use it. But God saw that the design will probably be flawed, and He gave two hands so that the left and right can work together to, to make things easy. Sometimes when we have our we are looking for information, or when we are consulting, or when we hear something, we always go and consult for a second opinion, which means that one mind usually will need some assistance in affirming that the decision or whatever you want to do is correct. And Proverbs 27, verse 17, confirms this or supposes. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. There is a saying in Zulu which says, Izandla ziyagezana. The direct translation is the hands wash each other. So the left and right wash each other. You rub them when you're washing your hands. So again, it's showing the power of two and the design. So the reason why it's necessary, it's because of support. If you look at this picture, it says a lot. Now look at the man who's being pulled. Imagine if he was alone, trying to climb this cliff. You probably would have not made it, or would have struggled, would have tired, or would have injured himself before he gets to the top. But now, how easy is it when somebody who's on top helps them? And this analogy and this picture says a lot. This is what happens within ourselves as well. We need to pull each other. We need to help each other up, because that's the only way that we can succeed. It might be me today, and the following day it will be you. Why is it necessary? Galatians 6 verse 2 reads, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." So when we see our brothers or our sisters having problems, we should carry their burdens. We should talk to them. We should help them. We should give them that support, because on their own, they might not make it. They will need that support, that second opinion, which then creates a better view and the power of two. James 5 verse 14, "Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord." So James could have said, if anyone is sick, ask from the Lord. Yes, you do. You can ask. But It says, let them call the elders of the church to pray over them, to pray for them. And we see this often. Even it goes on to say, if there is disagreement amongst you, call the elders to talk about the issues. Talk about them with different perspectives, with different opinions. That way, there is different angles of approach that will help you understand, reason, and resolve. Now, two are better than one. You see the man in the middle. He's got a weapon. He is trying to attack this person. Look at the person at the back. These two will eventually overpower, because the perpetrator doesn't have eyes at the back. And now, in Ecclesiastes 4 verses 9 to 12, says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. Verse 10, if either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and there's no one to help them. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, just as we saw now with the two men, two can defend themselves. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. If we go back to verse by verse, two are better than one. You know, productivity for one and for many people will not be the same, because there is many hands. Verse 11, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. The warmth that we can look at is not the warmth of, heat. It can be spiritually or emotionally. If you're walking alone and something happens to you, if you call for help and nobody comes, you will either die or something terrible, or your situation gets worse that it will not be repairable. So the necessity, or why it's necessary for two, is again that support. So what does it say to us? It simply says we need to continue fellowshipping, because in isolation or on our own, it's not easy to pull through, because you always need that encouragement. We are social creatures who are motivated by people around us. And sometimes what we think is not always right. But if there is somebody who is looking and having a different perspective, they will be able to correct us and put us in line, encourage us to do the right thing always. Matthew 18, verse 20. This is what now we need to take note of. And these are the words of Christ, where he says, sometimes you might feel alone, and we are being instructed that we need to be together. For where two or three gather in my name, there I am with them. So sometimes we might feel isolated. We need to know that there is that support for us. So in essence, we need each other for whatever reasons. How does it work? We can't just be pairs. I think there's a certain criteria that would come with this partnership. In Amos 3, verse 3, it reads, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" So we need to be in agreement. Now, Jesus first taught, and then he paired. He let them go and then convey and spread that message that he had taught, because they had listened, they had heard, and they had agreed. We also told in 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness?" So this is just confirming the agreement portion from Amos. So whatever the two are doing, they need to be in agreement. If they are not in agreement, the chances of them having a long relationship or doing the partnership, doing things together, if they do not agree, are very, very minimal. Now, what is the takeaway? The most important thing, in order for the power of two to work, we need to be in agreement. We need to be in alignment. We need to be aligned. Amen.